Hi, I'm Mark Hellier, and in the next 5 minutes I'm going to explain why you probably need to reconsider your approach to grammar. For as long as anyone can remember, grammar has been the foundation on which all mainstream course books are based, so it's no surprise that many teachers and students believe that studying it is so important. And of course, anyone studying for an exam needs to know about grammar because in an exam things are black and white. Answers are right or wrong. But real communication isn't like that. And for anyone who's not interested in exams but just wants to improve their language skills, focusing on grammar is the last thing I would advise. Why? Well, here are the 7 things any language teacher or learner should know about grammar. 1. Grammar doesn't have a great track record. The focus on grammar rules in the language classroom comes from the grammar translation method of previous centuries for translating Greek and Latin. It's been particularly unsuccessful at making people fluent in foreign languages. Number 2, most grammatical descriptions are based on the written language, but writing and speaking are not the same thing. Different rules apply. 3, grammar is just one part of successful communication. Other factors are vocabulary, pronunciation, sociolinguistics, that's things like appropriacy, and paralinguistics, that's things like tone of voice. Using grammar constructions that are considered correct is a fairly minor part of learning to communicate. 4. Grammar mistakes do not usually result in communication breakdown. Putting an adjective after a noun or using a plural verb with a singular subject doesn't prevent understanding in the way that poor pronunciation or using the wrong word does. 5. Grammar rules are not really rules. They're just descriptions of native speaker habits, and those habits differ from country to country. So if you're from the wrong country, Ireland or America for example, you could find yourself teaching a grammar rule which you would never apply in your own speech. 6. Learning to speak a language and studying a language are 2 different activities. When students learn grammar rules, they're not learning the language, they're learning about the language, and that doesn't actually help very much. Finally, number 7, acquiring grammar is a slow, unconscious process. It happens in our procedural memory, and repeated exposure to the language over time is necessary. Having a new grammatical item explained and then practicing it does not lead to spontaneous production later. So what are the practical implications of all this for our language teaching? Well, firstly, we have to acknowledge what can and can't be achieved in a language class. We can't really teach a language because there simply isn't enough contact time. All we can do is help students become more effective language learners, both in and out of the classroom. Teachers need to understand how languages are learnt, convey this to their students, and use class time to do the things which will aid the language learning process. This means providing comprehensible input while discussing topics that interest the students and involving them in engaging activities, rather than explaining and practicing random grammar points. The important question is, given that class time is limited, should we be spending so much time on something which isn't all that important for successful communication, isn't really standardised in the way course books would have us believe, and isn't all that likely to be remembered anyway? For me, the answer to that question is undoubtedly no. Pretty much any other classroom activity, from telling the class what you did at the weekend to showing them a video clip on YouTube, is going to be more useful than explaining a random point of grammar and having them practice it. Of course, just because we know that studying grammar isn't a very effective approach to language learning doesn't mean that it's going to suddenly stop. Grammar is everywhere in course books, and students have certain expectations about it, so trying to ban it completely is unrealistic. What we can do is help students get the study and importance of grammar into perspective, and move it from its current position centre stage towards the periphery, where it really belongs. We need to stop spending so much time on it in class, and do what we can to dispel the myths surrounding its importance. If students really want to do grammar exercises, they should use a self-study book, computer program or phone app and do them in their own time, rather than waste valuable class time. Raymond Murphy says his phenomenally successful grammar in use books were always intended for self-study outside the classroom, and he has stated that he regards the study of grammar as something essentially on the side of the main learning process. Okay, time's up, so that's it for this video. Thanks for listening, and please look out for the next one.